because we are meeting at a time when a change has taken place so enormous in the world economy that even socialists, I think, find it hard to catch up to what it's about. And it's like before the Berlin Wall, if you like, it is a big change. And what has happened for the last 30 years or more is that the market has covered everything, and we've been told we've got to adjust to the market. It's very obvious when the crash came, we heard all the bankers from Whitehall, from Whitehall City, London, and Malta, and the elected people just commenting, and of course commenting, Brown commenting, and all that other thing they were trying to do to just to bail out those who failed. And I think we have to recognise that this is the end of a period. It wasn't just the Thatcher period and the Blair period. It goes back to Callahan when he said, you remember, you can't spend your way out of a crisis. The very opposite of what is now being said. And I look back as a history helps what was said in 1945 in the manifesto. The Great Interwar slumps, we said, was not without acts of God or blind forces. They were the sure and certain result of the too much power in the hands of too few men who felt no responsibility for the nation. They were like totalitarian oligarchies in the heart of our democratic state. Active in 1945, and then initially what people wanted, Johnson, and workers on, and on that we won a landslide. Now, I think, if you look at the mood at the moment, people are very, very frightened, and I am not surprised. You see every day unemployment figures rising, repossession of houses going on, and we mustn't assume that a crisis of this magnitude benefits the left. It isn't automatic, because anyone who remembers Mussolini and Hitler would know they nationalised everything, so nationalisation isn't just an instrument of the left. They frightened people, and then, of course, they found the scapegoat to explain it into the Jews and all the rest of that. And what we need at the moment is to give people confidence that the problems that face us can be resolved. I say in passing, because I'm not anxious to be too critical of anybody, I honestly do not believe that sectarian socialism gets you anywhere at all. You probably noticed that in the Benn by-election, Johnny Sheridan, I know, right, he got 87 votes. And the Scottish Socialist Party got 212 votes. And there is no future, in my judgment, in trying to produce a pure socialist party. I have my favourite paper in Weekly Worker. Page 1, of course, the social unity, and pages 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, it announces everyone who's ever I think it's confident that the answer is the right thing. Also, we have to be ready to listen. Because I spend all my time going around doing meetings at the moment, and I'm absolutely convinced the public are to the left of what is called Labour government. I find when I go around, people don't want the war, and that's a product of some good campaigning that I come back on. They don't want the war, they don't want privatisation, they don't want pensions on a means test, they don't want students saddled with debt, they do want trade union rights, they are worried about civil liberties. So I don't think we're avoiding movements anymore. The question is how to direct what we're saying in a way that gives people confidence. And you see, if I look at all the policies we need, I listed them, probably not all of them, to end the war, no tribes, nationalise the bank, public service, rail and the facilities, the energy and so on, big public works, local authority plans, comprehensive education, protect civil liberties, all the things that we've been talking about for years are now acceptable programs. If we put it across with conviction, trade union rights, council house building, the earnings link, and a fair taxation system. And I would just say this, I'm a little anxious about this new cut tax. Because the question is, if you cut tax, who gets the benefit of it? I mean, I can imagine cutting tax on the people who got their big bonuses in the City of London, they would regard that as a very progressive move. But it's about who pays the tax and what it's for. Those are the two questions about taxation. I mean, if a pensioner is taxed for the war in Iraq, that is wrong. If a wealthy person is taxed for the public services, that is right. And I don't think we should be frightened with the taxation argument at all. Thatcher was very clever, you know. If she wanted a policy, she spent 2 years arguing for it. When she created the demand for it, she renounced it. And we mustn't lack courage in putting forward things that we know are necessary, but that ministers are nervous about because they feel they might upset the Daily Mail or City or London, something of that kind. But the one thing that has emerged from Brown is the crisis, this phrase, we will do whatever it takes. Now that is a very powerful phrase. In wartime, of course, you always do whatever it takes. I've never heard anyone say we can't bomb Berlin this month because our budget is right. In wartime, we do whatever it takes. And in peacetime, we have to do whatever it takes, not just to restore confidence in banking system, which is what, where the phrase refers to, do whatever it takes to deal with unemployment, do whatever it takes to deal with housing. And if people felt a government was engaged in that, I think they would win support. Now, the other thing that we had at the conference, the convention of the left. And I thought it was very, very successful because, particularly after what I said about sectarianism, we brought people of different tendencies together, not to argue about their ideology, but to get together on what needed to be done. And I think the unity of a theme is better than an ideological unity, because by definition, ideology always divides you with the Sunnis and the Shiites and the Catholics and Protestants. And I never thought that our job, I confess to you, was to convert people to my understanding of socialism. I'm too busy to do with that. I just want to try and see whether people's needs can be met. And you see, the Stop the War Coalition has been overwhelmingly organised by the social workers' rights, but my God, they brought people in from across the whole political spectrum. And I think we should be building our campaigns now increasingly in the spirit of the convention of the left, with the mentioned movement, with the student movement. And if we're seen to be active in other movements, not to take them over, but to give them parliamentary support, i.e. to take the idea of the Labour Representation Committee, which represents Parliament, in Parliament, the Institute of the Union, take that to apply to everybody else as well. Now, these are my thoughts on the matter, and working with the unions particularly now, because you realise they clever scheme, the Thatcherite scheme. You deny unions the right to get money by a strike action and encourage them to borrow. And if you're in debt, who's going to go on strike if it might mean you lose your job and then you can't keep up your mortgage payment? And it's a very subtle system, and it's got to be addressed head on. And the trade unions indeed are helping. I think the LRC is doing that wonderfully. But I put it simply like this. I see my job just to go around the country with a fan, blowing on the flames of anger and flames of hope. Because it's anger and hope that provides the political drive for change. And that's what we should be doing. I think also we should offer a vision of a future, not a detailed one, but common sense is the way forward. But what we say is about common sense, and we mustn't try and dress it up always in narrow ideological terms. I think we should be bold about Europe. I long believe that Russia should be in a European Commonwealth. And I see now, after the Georgian fiasco, people are beginning to talk, Sarkozy and others are beginning to talk about that. I think the UN has got in the end to be democratic. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's really crazy to demand that the working class should have votes in Parliament. But if we had a democratic UN, then China would have 2 billion votes at the General Assembly. And so would India. So I just think what we should do now is to be, I don't mean arrogant or complacent, but confident that people will respond. And if whatever Obama does later, you can speculate about that, then again, you will hope. And hope is the fuel of progress, fear and pessimism are prisons into which you can find yourself. So, this is a very important meeting, the LRC, and I'm sure people will get PhDs in future, studying exactly how to organise, and our Conway Hall will be welcome, because I think this is a turning point. And thank you for asking me today.